Joining me right now is Reagan Economic Adviser Art Laffer. Good to see you, Art. Thanks very much for joining us. Is this legitimate from the Clinton campaign that Donald Trump did not pay taxes?
No, of course not. I mean, but the point of it is very simply, Maria, can you imagine how large his tax returns are, how many schedules he's had, how many taxes he has to file in different states, different partnerships, deals that he's got? Heck, I would bet that those tax returns probably fill an auditorium room in all the different countries. He hasn't even seen his own tax returns, I would guess. I don't see mine. And what you have to do is professional tax return people in the accounting firms do it. And what I think Donald Trump should do is just have the people who do the tax returns for him say that these tax returns are legitimate and follow the laws of the U.S. End of story.
Yeah, but don't you think he's hurting? Is he hurting himself by just not releasing the tax returns? Because people say, well, why not just release the tax returns? Because, you know, what is he hiding?
Because, no, he's not hiding anything. He doesn't even, I mean, this is all done legally. It's all done correctly by the laws. Now, what he has said is he knows how to do the tax returns. He knows there are all sorts of loopholes and he can use them. And he knows how to close down all those loopholes. I want to know what he's going to do in the future, not what he did 5 years ago in his tax return. In fact, I don't think his 5 year ago tax return should be released. And I don't think he knows what's in all of that tax return either.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Art, I think you're hitting
it's just silly.
I think you're hitting the nail on the head here. I think he needs to continuously, when it comes to his tax returns, hit her home on the emails or even her Wall Street speeches. But getting back to his tax plan and policy, one of the things that really I think is a great policy is the repatriation at 10%. But what I'm missing from that is I could see that as a corporate welfare policy. Why isn't he pegging that to jobs? Say, listen, you can bring back all your money at 10%. The difference, peg it to jobs, peg it to something else. So the American people can say, hey, we're also going to benefit from this as well, not only just the companies.
But I don't think you need to peg it. I don't think Donald Trump needs to tell them what to do with their money to get jobs. Just bring it back. They'll create the jobs. You don't need some government entity to tell them to do jobs. They know how to do jobs.
No, I think that's right. I think that's right. But you know what the point is, Art, is that he's not communicating that. He needs to connect the dots for the average American out there and explain why a 15% corporate tax rate will lead to jobs and why this repatriation will lead to jobs. That's the only thing that he's missing. But he needs to connect those dots because not everybody understands this stuff the way you do.
Well, it's correct, and he needs to say it every sentence. I mean, it's all economics. When you pull that curtain and you ask yourself, will I be better off 4 years from now if I vote for Trump or if I vote for Hillary? That's the way we want to look at this, and it's all economics. And yet the Trump campaign takes a lot of time and spends a lot of effort talking about all sorts of other issues other than taxes, growth, and jobs and output. I mean, it's just why they should just focus on it nonstop like Reagan did.
100%.
Hey, Art, it's Dagan. Have you talked to anybody in the Trump campaign since the debate? Have you talked to Donald Trump? But are they listening to you?
Well, the people I talk to are my friends Steve Moore and Larry Kudlow, as you might imagine.
But are they,
and I don't know if they've ever listened to me, but I love them.
I did yesterday, and they had a big fundraiser yesterday. Apparently, they raised $18 million yesterday alone.
I heard that.
I did speak to somebody from the campaign yesterday.
But again, his surrogates and his advisors make so much sense. But is he going to take their advice and execute?
Who knows? I mean, this is where you use James Carville's phrase. It's the economy, stupid. That's all people care about: jobs, output, employment. It's not what tie you wear or what you say on this. Always stress, as you do all the time, Maria, the 15% corporate tax will do enormous good, repealing Obamacare. I mean, how fantastic is that? And then you get rid of all those executive orders that have just piled on regulations, and then you cut the personal tax rate, and then sit back, and the economy will cure itself. Vis medicatrix naturae.
Yeah, I agree.
It will happen.
I think it's very powerful. Go ahead, Tony.
Art, Tony Say here. Just wanted to get your reaction to two things Hillary Clinton said during the debate. One, she claimed credit, or at least said it was positive, her husband's economic policy and impact in the 90s. Wasn't the Clinton 90s policy about deregulating Wall Street, cutting capital gains taxes, big free trade agreements, all things she's against now? So didn't she almost contradict her own modern-day, more socialist, liberal economic policy, number one? Number two, she called it trumped-up trickle-down. I mean, your theory is getting a bad rap in this debate.
It always has, by the way, gotten a bad rep. I've supported Bill Clinton in the 90s. I voted for him twice. I think Bill Clinton was a great president. What he did was he cut government spending dramatically. He ran surpluses in the budget. He cut all sorts of taxes around the thing. We got rid of the retirement test. We got the biggest capital gains tax cut in our nation's history. He put in welfare reform. I mean, what more does a supply-side economist want than that? He did all that. He was wonderful. Hillary's just the opposite.
You know what? Because his message is very straightforward. Lower taxes, roll back regulations, that's going to lead to jobs. It's a very specific and straightforward message. Her message is a little more cloudy. We really don't know her economic plan. We know she wants to raise taxes. We know she wants to raise the estate tax. We know that she's talked about infrastructure, but it's not as simple. And so she's basically saying, okay, his message is very straightforward. Take him off message. And that's exactly what she keeps doing.
That's exactly. And that's why he's got to stay on message, Maria. I mean, James Carville would never let Bill Clinton get off message. It's the economy. It's the economy. It's the economy.
Yeah.
And Bill Clinton won because George Herbert Walker Bush raised taxes.
It's a very smart strategy, by the way, because, you know, she came back after having her, after telling us about her pneumonia. She came back after being out of the trail for 3 days, and she basically relived the birther issue. Again,
I know.
Taking him off message. Same thing at the debate the other night. Let's talk about his father. Let's talk about the birther issue. Taking him off message. So as a result, we didn't hear a lot about the message. All right.
I know, and Hillary doesn't do her own message for obvious reasons. She wants to raise taxes and give people who have too many freebies even more freebies, and it'll destroy the economy. That's her message. You know, that's it. I mean, growth versus redistribution. That is the total campaign.
You know what the papers are writing about today? Front page of the New York Times, big spread in the New York Post, for example, Miss Universe.
Yeah.
From 20 years ago.
Same
Miss Universe.
Message.
Because she, quite frankly, I'm going to be blunt, she won a beauty pageant that didn't even involve a talent competition, and she gained some weight. Donald Trump owned the pageant and made an issue out of it. And that is what we care about. That's what we care about. That's just ridiculous.
He's taking the bait. He keeps falling for the bait at every turn, Art, instead of sticking to this message that actually would move the needle on economic growth.
You're right on that. You're right. But do the voters take the bait as well? I don't think they do. I think Trump wins in a landslide. I think the voter turnout in the primaries for Republicans versus Democrats shows clearly that Republicans are really motivated. If you look at what's happened to state and local and federal lower levels, where the Republicans have taken control of the governors, state legislatures, the House and the Senate. I think we have one office left to take over, and we're going to do that this November.
Art, what does Donald Trump do day one if he's president to fix this economy?
I hope he hires Larry Kudlow and Steve Moore to run his economics, and then just get out of the way, go back and play around the golf.
Well, he said he's going to cut taxes and roll back regs. Is that going to be?
And that's it. That's it. And I hope so. Yeah. And then 2 years, 3 years down the road, when the economy's really booming and people don't need it anymore, that's when you cut government spending. You know, when a couple is unemployed, both husband and wife, the school lunch program is very serious. But when they both have good, high-paying jobs, the school lunch program is a frivolous luxury.
But do you worry that nobody's saying anything about the entitlements, Art? I mean, we know that that's where the money is.
No, I'm not.
You're not worried about Social Security blowing up, Medicare?
Well, if we keep on this bad economy, but if you got a boom going, you know, I would make sure you have Social Security for people who need it. But once you get a boom, once you get prosperity, you don't need all this welfare, and you can bring it way down very quickly, and it will be, I mean, that's when you cut government spending, is when you don't need it.
All right, we will leave it there. Bottom line, Art, good to see you.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you so much. Always a great conversation with you, Art Laffer there.